Welcome to Festpod, the unofficial download festival guide. I'm Neil Wilkinson. This is the place for news and rumours about the festival, advice for going, and your chance to get involved and ask your questions too. So now let's welcome my fellow hosts. First of all, we've got Lee Ellingham. How you doing, Lee?
Yeah, you're right, you?
Yeah, what's been going down in Lee Town?
Not much. Working plenty, and I'm okay considering the devastating news from Monday, but yeah, I'm all good.
And we've got Dave Kingdon down on the farm.
Hello.
Hello, how you doing?
I'm good, thanks. Enjoying the sunny weather.
Oh, lovely. What's going on in Dave Town?
Not a lot. Doing some biking.
Oh, you've been getting some
really.
some lovely exercise.
Yeah, losing the Christmas weight finally.
I can't imagine you overweight at all.
Maybe one day we'll get to see it.
No comment.
I doubt it. Find us on the socials by looking for Festpod or by going to festpod.co.uk and say hi, ask about a download, ask our advice, or just chime in with whatever you want. We would love to hear from you. So let's get started with download news. We now know the score with most festivals scheduled for this year, including download. Some are going ahead as planned, some have been pushed back later in the year, and some, unfortunately, have been cancelled. So here's a short list of who's doing what. Obviously, we know Download has cancelled for 2021 and will be returning on the 10th of June 2022. Arctangent is actually happening this year, 19th of August, so don't worry if you've got tickets for that. Bloodstock will be coming on the 11th of August, so Lee, I bet you're happy about that.
Very happy. Also, 2,000 Trees on the 8th of July. They've obviously managed to get the go-ahead as well.
Reading and Leeds is happening on the 27th of August this year. They've got their festivals. Latitude is happening on the 22nd of July 2021, so that's quite close to the day when we actually get released back into the community. Isle of Wight Festival is happening. It's been pushed back to the 16th of September this year. Camp Bestival happening on the 29th of July this year. Again, quite close to the dates that we are released. And then we know about Glastonbury, cancelled until next year. And Park Life has been pushed back to the 11th of September this year. There are so many festivals in the UK, we can't list them all. But most of them are happening. It's such... I'm so gutted that we haven't got Download.
Yeah, it's less of a sting for me. I kind of got to the point where I knew it was going to happen.
Was that once the government had released its dates of what we could do and what we couldn't do when?
Yeah, I think once they released the roadmap and they gave that date of 21st of June, it's sort of like, right, okay, we know it's coming now. We know the cancellation is inevitable. I'm looking forward now to next year, to 2022, instead of looking back at all the negative comments that people are going to be like, oh, I told you so, we knew this was going to happen, why were you all surprised, blah blah blah. But it's like, okay, fine, let's stop with the negativity and let's look on to next year. Let's look on to 2022 and hopefully look out for what Download can make, how they can make that so much better. Obviously 2 years with no festival, third time's the charm.
Yeah, and it's got to be amazing, hasn't it? They've had 2 runs up at putting a festival on, and if it's not amazing next year, I'll be having words.
I think we all would. I think we'd be all quite intent on our little keyboards.
Dave, are you unhappy about Download not happening?
Well, yeah, of course, it's a blow, but to be honest, I was expecting it ever since, you know, the second lockdown at least, or at least it was in the back of my mind. So I was kind of prepared for it not to go ahead, but it's good that there are still a large number of festivals going ahead this summer, so we can look at those and see how they deal with the sort of not restrictions, because there won't be any, but I think people are still going to be a little bit apprehensive.
I reckon that if people are apprehensive at the start, because of course it's going back into big crowds, isn't it? I can understand people being apprehensive. I don't think that'll last very long, and I think they'll be, once they've had a pint or two.
I think just the fact of actually being able to be at something like a festival, I think I think like you say, the apprehensions of being close to people, it's just going to go. I think it's going to completely go out the window. I watched a video today of it's in Scotland, and the football team Rangers are on the cusp of winning their league, and all the fans gathered outside the stadium, hugging, kissing, letting off smoke bombs and all sorts, celebrating. And I think we're all going to be like that come festival season, but doing it now is a sort of a risky move.
Yeah, risky to the extreme, definitely. When we're so close.
Exactly.
We're, what, three and a bit months away from freedom.
I mean, you laugh at that word freedom, but I mean that's how a lot of people feel about it. I mean, from personally, from my point of view, my life hasn't changed drastically. I'm still able to go to work every day and still able to go shopping and do the things that I normally would do, bar a few little things. But it's the sort of people that I do feel for that, again, have been put on furlough and had to stay home this entire time, and they're literally waiting to be able to go back to work. So to let them have their freedom, yeah, I feel for them.
I would have gone completely crazy if I'd had to be on furlough and I was doing nothing. I wasn't seeing anybody. I wasn't going anywhere. I mean, I really would have gone peculiar. It's only thanks to my day job that I'm allowed out and can go places. That's kept me sane. I think if I wasn't working, I really think I wouldn't be right at all.
Even more so than you're not right now.
You cheeky cow. Dave, you're on furlough though, aren't you?
Yeah, have
you gone peculiar?
I was peculiar before, so I'm just even more so. But yeah, I've just been making the most of it, actually, like, because for me it's just been nice to not work, if you know what I mean, and still get paid.
Oh, right.
in that sense.
It's a shame you've not been able to spend it like a holiday, and go somewhere and spend that money.
Well, yeah, but obviously it's still it's not an ideal situation, but yeah, I've just been making the most of it, like doing some spring cleaning and learning a few new hobbies and stuff. So,
so looking forward, if you're looking to get any tickets for any of these other festivals that we've mentioned, I think you'll be very lucky if you manage to get them, because a lot have already sold out.
Well, I know Damnation Fest, which is one that we didn't mention, a very small festival that's played at Leeds Uni. It's only a day festival, but they're very close to selling out, as are 2000 Trees, Arctangent, Bloodstock. I think Reading and Leeds sold out within about 2 days of them announcing they were going ahead.
Yeah, so Download is most likely going to be sold out, isn't it, in 22?
Do you know what? I don't know. I'm of the opinion that I still don't think it will be. Just purely based on still a lot of negative comments regarding the headliners. A lot of people were expecting new headliners for some reason, or at least weren't expecting Iron Maiden to come in and System of a Down to drop out. I mean, I'm happy with all three. I've not seen Kiss actually, to be fair, I've not seen any of them.
Oh, haven't you?
By choice. They've played the festivals that I've when I've been there, and by choice I've not seen them. But I I suppose during lockdown, obviously, and getting myself ready for the festival when it eventually goes ahead, I've been listening to, especially Biffy Clyro. I've been listening to a lot of Biffy Clyro recently, and to be honest, I'm very excited to see them play. Maiden, huge British metal band. Obviously, everybody knows who they are.
They can't half put on a show. I mean, it's something to see at least once. You've got to go and see them at least once.
This is what I thought, and this is why I thought people would be excited to have them on there. And Kiss, obviously, you've got a mixture of people with Kiss, of they're old fogies, don't want to see them, but then you've still got people like, I've never seen them before, I'm going to go and see them. But you're always going to get negative people, regardless. Whoever Andy Coppin chooses to be headliners, you're always going to get negative comments. And I mean, personally, I'm happy with them. We actually got a message on our Instagram the other day from Ben Appleby, who asked, as you're a podcast for Download, I have a question. How do you feel about Kiss and Maiden headlining so frequently for Download? And if you actually look back at the dates, see, this was I'm sort of breaking my answer down here. Obviously, I'm not going to read out exactly what I wrote back to him. But if you actually look back of when the last time Iron Maiden and Kiss played, Kiss haven't played since 2015. So if 2020 had gone ahead, that's 4 festivals in between where they hadn't played. And Iron Maiden, 2016, would have been 3 or 4 festivals in between playing again. Slipknot have played twice in the same time that Kiss and Iron Maiden haven't played. But everyone was happy to have Slipknot back.
It's funny, isn't it?
Yeah, and I mean, I do believe we should be pushing forward the younger bands, or I say younger, the bands that are getting bigger and bigger through the tens, or I suppose you could say, and obviously now.
If you could choose 3 headliners for Download, who would you choose?
Ghost.
Of course you would say
Just
Ghost.
throwing that in there.
Crying out loud. Yeah.
I don't know if they're quite big enough yet, but
well, I'll tell you what, with Ghost, they supported Metallica at the Etihad in Twickenham, which you went to, Dave, and you said they were fucking brilliant, which I can imagine them being so. They headlined Bloodstock in 2017, which I know was only about 15,000 people, but it's still a headline show. And they were amazing.
They were meant to play at Download in 2016 in, I think it was the Avalanche tent, but they cancelled for one reason or another.
It wasn't labelled the Avalanche tent back then. It was the third stage. Avalanche stage actually is only a thing since 2017.
Right.
But I digress. I totally agree with you. They dropped out, didn't they? For whatever reason, and totally fucked up my day, if I'm honest. I was due to see Gojira, but they clashed with Nightwish, and I had a bit of I didn't know who to see. I was already at main stage, so I stayed there and saw Nightwish instead of Gojira.
So we've got Ghost.
I would say Enter Shikari. I've been watching a lot of live shows, Enter Shikari, in lockdown, and I think they would be absolutely fantastic. They've headlined the second stage already in the last 6 years. They've headlined the third stage, which was their choice to do so, but I think they would put on an absolutely amazing show on the main stage, and they've got a huge following, so I don't see why not.
Do you think they could fill the main arena?
Oh, yes. Again, this is my opinion. I think they could, absolutely. Every time they play to a sold-out show. I think I saw them at Alexandra Palace in 2016, and that was a sellout. Maybe I'm being a bit biased. Personally, I would love to see them play on the main stage. They've, again, like I said, they headlined the second stage, they headlined the third stage. They're very high up on bills all around Europe. They sell out their arena shows in the UK. I think they definitely do a great show on the main stage.
Cool. Who else is on the top of the list then?
So I've got two other bands for this, and a lot of people will agree with me to say Bring Me the Horizon, just how big they've gotten and how popular they are in the UK, even from their old stuff, which I love, and their in-between stuff, which I believe went a bit downhill, but that got them a massive following, and their new stuff's quite good as well. They brought out an LP, EP.
An LP is a record, isn't it?
So an EP then.
It's an extended play.
They brought one out last year, and it was brilliant. They had a lot of cameos on there on a lot of those songs, but they were fucking brilliant. But one band who I definitely think should be up there is the Architects. Now, we go back to 2016. They were due to play 2016 as well, and they had to drop out because of, I believe it was the guitarist, I can't remember his name now, had fallen really ill, and it turned out he had cancer, and he died. So since then, though, they've just brought out a couple of albums that have just gotten better and better. They're now on their 9th album, and it's number 1 in the UK album chart. And that just shows popularity. If people are buying your records, selling your shows out, you should be headlining the biggest rock festival in the UK. But I have a sneaky feeling that Reading and Leeds would get them instead.
Yeah, it's a funny thing, that, isn't it? Reading and Leeds get a lot of the acts that I think that Download should be getting.
It's almost if they become so popular, they go on to the bigger Reading and Leeds.
Mainstream.
But yeah, but they would be such a massive hit at Download.
Yeah, there's no reason why we should have headliners returning frequently. I can understand why people say it, that they don't want to see Iron Maiden again, or any of the others again. But it's you've got to please a lot of people. It's a difficult one.
And I think that's where, obviously, why they do keep bringing back the likes of Kiss and Iron Maiden is because they are massive crowd pleasers, from those that are young enough that haven't seen them yet to those that are old enough that have seen them 100 times and will continue to see them until they retire.
It's also Kiss's last show.
Apparently.
And you've got to remember, Iron Maiden have sold a lot of albums. It's not like they aren't popular.
Of course. Exactly, and this is why people keep questioning the likes of, and the things are the same with Kiss. Why people keep questioning these two bands, or why they keep coming back. I get it. We want someone fresh. We want someone new. But we know for a fact they sell albums, and they sell out wherever they play. So why wouldn't you put them as your headliners, even if it is 5-6 years down the line after they've already played? It means they will continue to bring in tickets, and they will continue to bring in punters.
I always think Download do a good job at varying up the old and the new. So obviously they've got Iron Maiden and Kiss, who are 70s and 80s bands, and then now they've also got Biffy Clyro, who they have headlined a couple of years ago, but they're still what I consider a young fresh band, especially to be headlining.
Yeah, and they're popular. And this is what people don't. There's always the loud minority that say that these certain bands shouldn't be on the lineup because they're not metal enough or they're not rock enough, but they're popular with the entire a massive UK base. So again, it makes sense to have these bands headline. And I'm sorry, if you've actually listened to Biffy Clyro's back catalogue, they've got some heavy stuff in there that you can headbang or mosh to like you would the more popular heavy bands. I've got absolutely no problem with any of them being there. Do I believe that we could do with some new, fresher bands coming in? Yes, but I mean, I'm neither here nor there with all three of them. If I don't feel like seeing them, I'll go somewhere else and do something else.
It is a festival,
which is what
there's plenty of other stuff on to see.
Yeah, and the constant barrage of negative comments about this band shouldn't be there, this band shouldn't be there, oh, that band of crap, that band of crap. Luckily, art is a subjective subject. That you can... Again, thank you. That obviously art is subjective, so it's okay that if you don't like something, that's fine. Again, your opinion is your opinion. But again, when it comes to music, and especially when it comes to metal music, everybody's opinion is fact, apparently.
And to be honest, you've got to understand that the people who put festivals on know what they're doing. Andy Coppin knows what he's been doing because he's been doing it for a long time. He's a band booker for a massive festival, and you don't get to be in that position without knowing what you're doing. I know that you're very jealous of his position, Lee, and you would love to be doing what he's doing.
Oh, I would, honestly, absolutely. I think a lot of people are quite jealous of his position, and they would put on the festival that they want. But the thing is, though, if you're in his shoes and you put on a festival, you think, everyone's going to love this. You're always going to get a minority of people that go turn and say, nope, you line up shit, you're a fraud. Right, okay. And he's probably sitting on his big pile of cash, looking down at us and going, I don't give a shit. And he says, I've put on 3 headliners that I know will make money for one, the brand Download, Live Nation, and Festival Republic, and that's what he's there to do.
It's money oriented, isn't it? I mean, you've got a crowd please, but ultimately you've got to pay the bills.
We'd all like to think that these people that put these sort of festivals on, they're in it for the fans. It's all about the fans. The fans matter the most, and to a degree, yeah, you've got to consider that. But then if you don't please the fans, then you don't get the money that comes in. You don't bring the money in. You don't have a good job, or you don't continue in your position.
So 2022 tickets are on sale. A lot of RIP options are already sold out, as they were for 21. In fact, I'm pretty sure it was sold out, wasn't it? For a lot of it.
So I think what's happened is obviously those that have bought RIP have just thought, fuck it, I'm going to roll it over. That was what I did. I thought I'm just going to roll it over because I'm paying for the experience of being in RIP. It's a lot of money. Could we all do with the money coming back? Yeah, but I also want something to look forward to for next year.
I'd rather not have to pay again in the future.
There is that.
Because it's a pain. We haven't got day tickets on sale just yet, though.
The reason they put the day tickets on sale so early last year, or obviously for 2021, was because they had already announced the majority of the lineup. In past years, it's usually in March or April of the lead up to the festival, because that's when they've announced the majority of the bands. But obviously for this year round, they decided that, fuck it, we're going to give you all the bands. Here's your day tickets. Let's give you something to be excited about. And I think they may go down that road again. But obviously between now and June of this year, the social medias for Download might go a little bit quiet, or they might start announcing something slowly, depending on what they want to do in June.
We haven't got a full poster yet for 22 yet, have we?
Nope. We've only got 3 headliners announced, obviously, which are the ones that we've mentioned: Kiss, Maiden, and Biffy Clyro. Again, the bands, the poster will fill up in due course.
What a ball ache for Andy Copping. I mean, I know he'd already booked them, so essentially the job was done. But it's about, is he going to rebook them? Is he going to have to try and chase the same bands again and just try and make sure they can fit in for the next year? There must be absolutely going spare in that office. I don't know how they're keeping sane with having to. I mean, it's 2 years in a row. It's a big deal for a festival like Download, isn't it?
Yeah, and I mean it's a lot of cash to lose, and obviously, like you say, it's a ball ache to again get these bands to again agree to come back. And I mean, I imagine booking for 2022, they said, right, if it gets cancelled, will you come back? And I imagine they've asked all the bands, and I imagine a lot of the bands will say, yes, we've got nothing planned for 22 yet. Yep, we'll do it. But again, the bigger bands, or mostly the logo bands, let's call them, that were on the lineup, might already say, well, we've actually got something planned in 2022, so we can't. It's what happened to Behemoth at Bloodstock. They were due to headline Bloodstock in 2020, and everyone was excited to see them, but they had said because they had something lined up for 2021 around the end of summer, they couldn't. They are due to headline a headline show with Arch Enemy, if anyone cares. Just thought I'd plug that out there.
Plug away.
Well, that's what happened to Iron Maiden last year.
Yeah, they had something planned for this year that they couldn't reschedule for, and obviously, well, that's why I think they're back in, because obviously they had said, right, well, we can't do 2021 because we've got this planned, but we will be back eventually. Now, do we believe that Maiden were already then poised to do 2022, 2 years after they were due to do 2020, or was it literally, right, Andy Coppins had to bump someone off to get Maiden back, or did System of a Down say, we've got stuff planned for 2022, we can't? So, I mean, I get you see a lot of complaints with people saying that, or why have you taken off System of a Down? Why did you do it? Why have you taken away the band that I wanted to see? It's like, well, actually think about it. Bands have got plans well in advance for obviously what they need to be doing. So why do you automatically assume that Download have kicked them off the bill to get somebody else in? Why has nobody just assumed that, oh, System of a Down, they're busy next year, they can't do it?
How many bands usually play? Is it like 100, 110, something like that?
I believe it's roughly between 110 and 120.
Okay, so that's a lot of people to look after, isn't it?
Exactly.
Architect's new album, For Those That Wish to Exist, is #1 in the UK album charts as we record this.
Yeah, briefly touched on this a minute ago when I was obviously saying who should headline festivals. And
have you heard the album?
I did. I listened to it the other day. I was a bit late to it. A friend of mine messaged me saying, "You've got to listen to it. It's brilliant," and it is awesome. It's got the metalcore feel to it that you know from their previous albums, but then it's also got sort of a more poppy mainstream feel to it. That again, it could bring in new listeners. I think it's absolutely brilliant. And to be honest, I tip my hats to them. After what happened in 2016, obviously with the death of the guitarist and the albums they've been putting out, they deserve it. And it's good to see, again, a band of the alternate scene get into the mainstream UK album charts. It feels, you can definitely feel that there's something different, there's something changed. There is a lot more melodic stuff in there compared to, like, if you compare it to a quote-unquote traditional metalcore album. But they still hold on to that. They still hold it almost as if they hold on to their roots, but they change it ever so slightly to maybe, again, as we've spoken on previous podcasts, again, the band needs to evolve to bring in new listeners, but then to also appease their current listeners. And I think they've balanced it out incredibly well.
Excellent. Well, next we're going to get some advice about going to Download in the guide. In this section, we'll try and answer your questions about what it's like to go to Download Festival, things we recommend and things to avoid. This week, Refund or Rollover. Now that we know for certain that Download 2021 won't be happening, what do you do if you've already bought your ticket? You've got a few options, so we'll talk you through them now. So, you can get a refund, which some people may well do because they could quite fancy the cash back. Which, in these difficult times, we can all understand that, can't we?
I mean, that's what I did last year. Because I had lost a job last year, I just thought, right, I'm going to take the money back just as sort of a buffer. I imagine a lot of people will be in that situation still. And so, yeah, I get it. The refund coming back to you is it's important to be able maybe to have that little bit of extra cash just in case, depending on obviously your situation. I mean, the other reason you may have refunded, you don't like the headliners.
Yeah.
You've not thought about the other 110 bands going to be there. You just don't like the headliners. But
yeah, well, there's as we keep saying, it's a festival. There's plenty of other bands there you can go and see, but at the same time, there's plenty of other festivals you can go to.
Anyone who has had a ticket for last year should have already had an email, and by the time this podcast goes out, the deadline to put your request in will have ended. But
is that the 8th of March?
yeah, it's 5 p.m. on the 8th of March is the deadline to be able to get your refund. But like Dave said, by the time we get this podcast put out, it will be after the deadline. So if you're still listening and you haven't requested your refund, you're fucked.
Well, what happens to it?
Oh, I don't know. I think if you don't
Well,
make
you're
it,
fucked then. They might, won't they just roll it over? Oh no, actually, don't they just automatically? Yeah, that's right.
It.
Yes.
Yeah, you have to tell them that you want it to roll over.
Yeah, you've got to tell them either way, I think. And if any,
which I completely forgot to do last year.
Oh, Dave.
So before I knew it, I was out of a ticket, but so I had to rebook again. But
you didn't lose your money though, did you?
This year, I've rolled it over.
Did you lose money?
Well, no,
that?
I got the refund.
Oh, okay.
No, I got the refund, but I was going to come this year anyway, so it was just an extra.
Oh, I see.
Hassle to
You
rebook again,
wanted to roll it over.
I forgot to tell them.
Yeah, so you wanted to roll it over. You forgot. Then you got the refund back. And
yeah.
Okay, fair enough. But yeah, there's the email.
Yeah, but I think it's obviously good that Download do it that way, because you might have missed the email and then have a ticket that you can't use, or you're not able to.
Some people are panicking because they haven't found an email and they're wondering what to do. I mean, it's not the end of the world. I mean, you'll get a refund, but if you'd rather hold on to your ticket, because we don't know if the prices are going to be different next year. That's the other thing.
So with the tickets being released, these are the tickets that have been released are early bird prices. So I imagine when the early bird time slot has run out, they will go up. But if we remember last year, when the prices went up, there was absolute uproar, and they kept the price and they froze the prices. So if you don't want the prices to go up, complain your ass off.
Why is a refund better? Is that why? Because the prices are going to change?
Potentially, yeah. I think that's definitely one advantage. If you're getting you're getting cold feet and you think that they're going to put the prices up, surely that'd be an advantage to roll over. So then the prices don't go up, and you've paid the lesser price.
Yeah, that's how I see it. I mean, there's no point me getting a refund when I've scrimped and saved for each instalment, because I've paid on the instalment plan, and even then it was a lot per instalment. It's because I tend to forget about direct debits, and I have to move money around and make sure I've got enough to pay it when when the bank tells me, oh, did you know, but Neil, by the way, we're going to pay this direct debit, but you've not got any money. It's better for me now that it's fully paid up just to leave it there, especially with the RIP ticket. Yeah.
I'm with you. That's why I rolled mine over, because I rolled it over because I knew I was going to go next year. There's nothing stopping me. So I just thought, fuck it, I'm going to roll it over. But that's a very good point, that if you're getting itchy feet, that you think, oh, maybe the price is going to go up again, that roll over and keep it the same price as I paid the year before.
Well, I think the main reason is obviously we're still in sort of uncertain times, aren't we? So some people might just get a refund, and then later on in the year or early next year they can book another ticket if they know they can go. Or
and there's certain extras that you can get with your tickets that might well be limited. So, for example, with RIP, if you were going to go with a camper van, those camper van tickets are very limited. So if you wanted to go for a refund, you would obviously lose that ticket. But if you decided to go, if you changed your mind later down, the calendar, and decided, oh, actually, I want to take my camper van this year, you've got no chance of getting it because you will have missed your chance, because those camper van tickets go really quickly. You've got to be there on day one pretty much when they get announced.
I think they've sold out already.
Yeah, it doesn't surprise me.
No, I think because, like you said, because the camper van tickets are like gold dust. Even if it wasn't this whole rollover situation that we've all done, they sell out almost instantly.
Because there's only so many spaces.
Yeah, I mean it's the same with the Park Farm and Sleepy Hollow. Those camping tickets for ROP, they've all sold out, and I imagine that was because everybody in there has rolled their tickets over.
Yeah.
So, again, an advantage of rolling your ticket over is to make sure that you've still got your spot.
Yeah.
For next year. But I mean, to get the refund, again, like we said, there could be other factors into why it would be advantageous for you to take that refund.
Only you know what's best for you, you know.
Exactly.
If you can afford to give up your camper van spot or your spot in RIP, Park Farm, or your whatever that's limited, and just go with basics next time, then that might be your only option to get into Download 22. But if you were going to give up your ticket and get a refund, you could, of course, go to another festival instead a lot earlier. Although, to be really honest, could you even do that? Because a lot of them have sold out, like we've said.
Yeah, I mean, Reading being the big one, that sold out almost instantly. But again, I think Reading and Leeds, that sells out quite quickly anyway. So as soon as they put the tickets available, whether it be now or whether it would be in August, Reading and Leeds was going to sell out. That's a given. It's like Glastonbury. Glastonbury always sells out. So yeah, if you had a ticket for Reading and you were able to roll it over, which I don't know the details for Reading and Leeds, but if you've got a ticket already for 2020, for 2020, and then for 2021, and then you would roll it over. But like you say, if you don't roll them over, then you've got some, and you refund it, you've got some spare cash for some other smaller festivals, cheaper festivals. In once the roadmap has got us into the clear to freedom, then yeah, there's loads of festivals on this summer that you can go to instead.
I mean, to be honest, I'm even considering going to some of these other smaller festivals anyway, because June 22 is a long way off from this point.
Yes, it is. Absolutely.
I can't not have any concerts or live music until then. I've got to get out and experience something.
Which ones were you considering?
I haven't even fully looked because I'm still in lockdown mode and I haven't really fully looked. But in just looking around, I'd probably just go to something fairly local. I mean, the thing is that a lot of the festivals, I'm going to say something quite shady now. A lot of the festivals are quite chavvy. And, I don't really want to go to those. I want to go to ones that I'm going to fit in at, and not have to worry about getting knifed. But I'll have a look down the list and see. But I mean, we're probably talking smaller ones.
Do you know what? You hit quite a good point, actually. A lot of these smaller festivals, they're all either based in the Midlands or the South or the Southwest. And that must be a bit of a pain in the arse for you Northerners. Yeah,
to be honest, for me, I travel anyway, so I don't mind it. And a lot of people, who are people like us, we will go and travel, won't we, to stuff. I mean, especially Dave, you're in the Southwest, where there's
pretty much as south as it would get, nearly.
Yeah, and so you're not next to anywhere that's,
No, but then something like Arctangent is only 2.5 to 3 hours away, so it's not
Bristol.
So it's not like the end of the world. And
2,000 Trees is in Cheltenham as well.
Where's
You're
that?
quite close to 2,000 Trees, Dave. It's in Cheltenham.
I don't know where Cheltenham is.
Oh, fucking hell.
I've heard the name.
It's in the west.
In my head.
It's up the M5. So it's up the M5. It's basically along the border to Wales. So it is quite close to you.
But even for you, Lee, Download is not exactly local for you, is it?
No, it's still about a 2 hour drive.
So for people like us,
not...
we travel anyway, don't we? To
Yeah.
gigs and festivals, so it's not a big deal for us. But I appreciate that there's people that don't want to. I was always astonished when I used to work at the Arena in Manchester. I'd just be working some random gig, and I'd find out where people have come from in the audience, and they'd tell me these faraway places, and they'd tell me other countries sometimes, and I'd be astonished at how far some people would travel for a gig, to come to Manchester and watch somebody that I didn't give a toss about.
Well, I mean, if you've looked at some of the other vlogs in that on YouTube, when they video download and that, you've got people from Australia that have come all the way over to see our lineup when they've got their own fucking festival download in Sydney and Melbourne.
Yeah. But to be honest, I would wouldn't you love to go to download in Australia?
Do you know what? I wouldn't mind doing one of the foreign festivals. Excuse the use of the word foreign. The overseas festivals. I'd love to. Even if it was again download in Australia or even download in Japan, which I keep telling Dave when he's over there, you got to go to it. You got to go and tell us what it's like.
Yeah, I'd love to do Knotfest in Japan as well, because they obviously have Slipknot there, but pretty much like 80% of the other bands are Japanese bands. So it'd be great to see like all those.
Is that a thing, Japanese metal?
Yeah, there's been a few bands at download like Love Bites,
Baby Metal,
Cold Rain.
I could only think of Baby Metal, to be honest.
Probably the one that everyone knows.
No,
Yeah.
I've seen Love Bites. They played Bloodstock the year before they played Download, and very good band.
There are some really good, like, I guess up and coming you'd call it, bands that would fit in perfectly at Download, but obviously they need the promotion and that overseas.
Is that going to be you?
Yeah. Dave's the promoter for all Japanese metal.
I do try and promote bands that I like to people that I think would be interested in them.
Namely me.
Or Festpod listeners.
Yes. All the Festpod listeners, go and listen to Japanese metal bands
and tell us what you think.
So we can get them over this country.
Don't forget, you can ask us questions or give us your viewpoint by sending us a message. Go to festpod.co.uk and click on message, or find us on social media by looking for Festpod. Tell us your do's and don'ts, give us your advice, or tell us about something we've missed, or just give us your opinion. That's festpod.co.uk or Festpod on the socials. Next up, we're going to find out what's coming out of your mouths on social media. We've got some of your replies to our question online. We like to ask you questions online. We've asked you if you could give one piece of advice for going to Download Festival, what would it be? And we've asked on our socials, Insta, Facebook and Twitter. For some reason, Twitter doesn't get very much response. I don't know why. Facebook is all right, but Insta is the one really. So why don't you follow us on all of them? Just look for Festpod. What advice have you found that people have been recommending for us?
I got one from an Andy Waddle. Be efficient with your packing. I put a pair of boxers, a pair of socks and a t-shirt together and roll them up really small, then put it all in a big sandwich bag, have one little bag as a day bag plus one extra. Another thing I started doing was putting my bank card on a lanyard around my neck so it can't accidentally fall out of my pocket. It's always handy for contactless payments. That last bit of advice I couldn't do.
No.
Because you know me, I like to go have a mosh.
Yeah.
And go and
you'd lose that first time.
Big time. So I mean, to sort of expand on that, Dave introduced me to the wonderful world of money belts, which you can have underneath your clothing. I would definitely.
Is it like a fanny pack?
It is like a fanny pack or a bum bag, as we say in the UK.
We do.
So expanding Andy's advice, definitely recommend getting something that can keep your money and your phone, etc., safe on your persons.
On your persons.
Yeah.
Dave.
I'm going to put two together because they kind of do the same thing. From Graham_dares you to laugh, which just simply says wellies, which is very, very important.
Oh, yes.
And Daniel P. Browning says decent tent, decent waterproofs, decent boots, decent sun cream. Basically, just don't skimp, which is definitely good advice. It's best to, as much as the money you have will allow you, get decent stuff. Don't just get crap and then it lasts 5 minutes and it breaks.
I've got one here from, he's got a very long name, so I'm going to shorten it. Michael Fearon. Don't trust baggies you find in the mud. Which is probably good advice. Don't go foraging for things that you might want to put in your mouth in the mud.
I can't help but think, why the fuck would you go foraging for little baggies, especially when
if people have dropped them, maybe,
But how do you know that's your baggie that you've dropped?
Well, this is it. Don't trust them. Don't trust baggies you find in the mud.
From Will Howard, and I don't know whether Will Howard is a part of this particular brand that I'm about to mention, but he says use fatfrankscampingshop.com. Great service and amazing value, which I could vouch for. I've picked up many a product from Fat Franks in desperate dire need, so definitely use them.
It's good in there. I like that. I agree with that one.
Didn't you pre-ordered stuff, didn't you, for this year?
I did, and they refunded me as soon as they found out that it had been cancelled. So they were very good like that.
Very good. They are very good peoples.
They are. Dave.
We've got Minnie Marriott's and me says decent footwear, definitely, even if it's hot, which happens sometimes. Very occasionally.
Sometimes.
Yeah. But yeah, proper walking boots for sure. Because you're going to do a lot of walking. That's for definite.
Yeah. Matt Barnes on Facebook says wet wipes are your new best friend. Which is fair enough. Some people don't like to use the showers, the on-site showers, and just want to have a bit of a rub down in the tent, so that nobody gets to see you willy.
Well, gets to smell you willy.
Yeah. And we've got one from Vicky Peters. That's not enough booze. Pack more. Which is it's advice. If that's the one piece of advice you want to give, there we are. So that's it for this episode of Festpod. Thanks for listening. Check us out on our socials. Just look for Festpod, or go to the website festpod.co.uk for the rest of the episodes. We'll see you next time. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye. A Wilco Productions podcast.
Can you just give me 2 secs? I need to check on my fish.